Hey everyone, it's Tycho. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be showcasing the process of working on my artwork. If you haven't seen the first part of this video, definitely be sure to check it out on my channel. I'll put the link to the video up in a card at the top of the video, and it'll be in the description as well. In this video, I'm going to show you how I shaded everything on this character. Her name is Parisa. She's one of the main characters in my book, A Court of Snakes, This Desert Cage. I've already laid down the flat color, line work, and I used the background from another piece that's kind of I'm going to use the term sister piece to this, so there's going to be two. You can see I'm bouncing back and forth between the other one that I worked on in some previous videos. I use the same brush I always do, which is Webster's Gouache Wet. This particular piece was a little easier because the background was already done, so I got to just jump right into the character effectively. I didn't have to stress about the colors and what I was doing for the border and things like that. I didn't use a reference image for lighting in this particular instance just because the entire thing is front lit, so pretty easy there, but if you do need a lighting reference, be sure to go and grab one for yourself. It will definitely help you figure out the direction of the light source and just make sure that everything on your end looks consistent. I also, in this particular part of the process, go in and shade skin, clothes, accessories, and I'm just using the same brush. I do swap in between effectively Photoshop's blender brush tool and the gouache wet brush because I really like that canvas texture that gets left behind. I am very particular about wanting my work to look at least a little bit traditional. Like, I recognize it still looks digital adjacent, but having it look a little traditional and have that little bit of texture and flair is really, really nice. If you watched my previous videos, you'll recognize the skin palette that I'm using here, and this one in particular is not one of the problem palettes that I have issues with where I have to modify it pretty heavily, so I was able to use the colors pretty much as a one-for-one. Parisa has the same hair color as Taryn, which is pretty great, so I got to use the same hair color palette as well. I tend to exaggerate the values off of this hair color palette and really only use it as a base just because I find that the colors themselves are not really very rich. I do like this particular color set just because it adds a little bit of orange into the blonde, which I do think is nice. It gives it a coppery glow, which I find to be a little bit more accurate than just the standard blonde color palettes that I typically see on other artists' websites as resources. So I like to make sure that I don't feel afraid to go in and add pops of orange or pops of red or other colors depending on what type of hair that I'm doing. It gives it a little bit of life. I always start with the skin first. I don't know why I'm like this, and then I'll go and move on to accessories and clothes. I have always done it this way. There is literally no rhyme or reason for why I do it this way. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I had to rely a lot on metal textures for this particular costume because Parisa does wear a lot of armor to protect her from stray projectiles of any nature because she's out and about on the streets, getting her hands dirty, doing her duty, and trying to protect people and keep people safe. I really like painting metal because then I don't have to really blend that bad. It just is a lot of texture, and I go in and add texture using some other rough brushes that I found on the internet. You can really use any grunge brushes that you like for this. It's really up to personal taste. I don't even remember which brush that I used here, to be honest. But I also covered it in dirt because I felt like that was accurate. If you're running around and you're being a badass and you're on the street and you're not dirty, I have a lot of questions. I don't really like young adult heroines who don't get their hands dirty, so I wanted to make sure it was like, yeah, this armor is worn, she uses it. My least favorite part of shading, all in all, though, definitely like cloth. I don't know why. I don't like rendering out outfits. Part of it is, I think, because I'm still not 100% comfortable with wrinkles. I don't like wrinkles and folds, and they kind of freak me out. I'm not really sure if they've fallen in the correct way or not, and if I've rendered them right. But then part of me feels like they're so boring. Like, I love how the skin and the metal have such great color variation because of, like, dirt, texture, subsurface scattering, that kind of stuff. And then cloth is just like, it's cloth. Like, there you go. It's just cloth. Even this turquoise was more fun to paint than the cloth. It has like the little veins and stuff in it. There's at least some life to it. But I don't know, do you all like rendering clothes? Let me know in the comments if you actually like rendering clothes and how you get out of that funk. If you are in the art funk and you don't like rendering something, how do you get over it? Fortunately, her outfit was really, really easy. I was in a massive time crunch making this because this was for the Kickstarter project that I launched last year, where these 2 pieces of artwork were meant to be postcards as rewards for the backers. I was screaming. It was not a fun time, but I got it done, and we were okay. We were all right at the end of it. It ended up working out. My favorite at the very, very end is doing this little line work detail, though. Don't you think it just makes it like pop? I love it. Absolutely love it. It softens everything up and makes it look like less illustration-y, more painterly. There you have it, though. That's a finished artwork. This piece, along with the Terran artwork that mirrors it, were both made into Kickstarter postcards. They were printed. They turned out really well, and I'm really happy with how they look. Here are both of the postcards together, so you can see how they look side by side. Thank you for sticking with me through this process. If you haven't watched the other videos, they're all on my channel. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and pop that notification bell for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.